Support Dope People Questions. Who are you?
My name is Ryan with RFCanna and the Aurora Cannabis Club.
And what do you do, Ryan?
I do independent consulting on my own and then also help organize events with the Aurora Cannabis Club, doing monthly meetups, genetics discussions, and workshops, things like that.
What kind of things in the cannabis space are dope to you right now?
I think everybody kind of coming up trying to get into the industry right now. There's a lot of dope people doing some really interesting things right now, and seeing them kind of come more into the limelight is pretty dope for sure.
Who in this space do you think is doing dope things right now? Speaking of,
there's a lot of them. I know Homegrown Supplies has always been good about doing stuff for the community. Bob's Exotics, shout out to my buddy Bob. And everybody else that's been kind of helping support the homegrow community.
How can we support you, Ryan?
By checking out the socials. You can find me on Instagram at RFCanna, and then also the Aurora Cannabis Club. Make sure to come check out some of the events we do. We do free monthly meetups every month. So yeah, keep posted for that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Elevated News Podcast with two dope dudes. Here are your hosts, Dave and Aaron.
Welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with two dope dudes. We are a podcast focused on discussing local and national cannabis news and culture. I am David. This is Aaron.
I am Aaron.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am quite lovely, honestly. It has been so beautiful the last couple of days as far as weather goes, and just beautiful weather equals beautiful mind for me.
Heck yeah, man. It hasn't been too hot here. It's been manageable for sure. It's been humid as hell, but like pretty gorgeous otherwise.
Yeah. You can find the Elevated News Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your favorite streaming platforms, and at Two Dope Dudes, the YouTube channel. Please give a like and leave a review. This helps us reach more people. Please don't be shy. We have greatly appreciated the feedback and the help.
Yeah, we like the interaction. Like, leave a comment. We like to comment on the comments. We would like that to be a thing. We could comment on the comments.
Yeah.
So comment. And we will talk
about
on the next podcast.
Ya.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I stole that completely
It's
too.
all right.
Anyway, email us at twodopedudespodcast@gmail.com.
That's all your Halloween candy, your e-drugs,
and all your questions.
All your questions and e-drugs. Nobody's mailed us any e-drugs yet.
Or any. Hey, you know what though? I did just see this. We're not going to talk a bunch about it, but they just started doing some like online weed ordering system thing in New York or something. They're like one of the first to break through this online ordering system. So good on ya.
Isn't Weed Maps a thing? Hasn't Weed Maps been doing like an
Uber
thing?
They just take you to the thing. This is where the thing comes to you from the
Oh.
ordering, and you can actually process your payment through their system, and then you never have to really interact or transfer dollar bills.
I'm pretty sure they've been doing that for a while in New York with the bike messengers.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what Venmo's for.
FedEx and the USPS have been doing that for a long time.
Well, that's true. Shout out to all my favorite postal workers.
Whoop. Great postal workers
Great
out there.
postal workers. Yeah.
Thank you for bringing me.
Is it like a wrap and then bag and then wrap and then bag? I think is what the ATF agent once told me. It's a true story.
Oh, so good. You just, don't be silly.
Wow, that was another life.
Also, if you don't mind, you can always check me out at Peace, Love, and Cope on the YouTube and the Facebook platforms, or where I do most of my work. If you would like to know anything medically about cannabis, or you have anybody in your life that is intimidated to use cannabis medically for the first time, I would love to help them break through and feel comfortable with it and point them in a non-invasive working manner for this thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take your health into your own hands. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's well, that's the point of the podcast. I was bugging you for a long time. I was like, hey man, you should get this out in podcast form, and you were like, that seems like work.
Well, and it is, and you do a lot of the work, and thank you.
No,
It makes
thank
it
you.
easy for me to keep talking and trying to spread the good news that is cannabis and helping people get the proper access to. And sometimes people know what it is that they might need or want or are going to have success with. They just need that little extra nudge to go, it's okay. Somebody
Yeah,
else out here believes in you too. And, I had that happen this week. Somebody reached out from a close friend, said, hey, this guy always says stuff. And we ended up talking for a little bit. And what an amazing experience. Again, I love helping people feel comfortable with cannabis and
yeah.
get a more, a benefit of the medical proportion.
I mean, you should understand the plant either from a grower's perspective or somebody who partakes in regulation or in the altered states of cannabis, or just like being around. You should understand what it is. So you have to understand all the parts. You know.
Yeah, I
So
I
like,
think that that's the biggest thing too is the communication part of it. How do we
right?
communicate through all of those different sectors to become one dominant force that actually is what we see and hear people talking about, giving them the reliefs from their symptoms and conditions, even at times. It's the glory story thing, and I'm not selling it as that. I've just seen it as so. So it's cool. It's just nice to be you know,
Yeah. Respect the plant. Uh, yeah, respect the plant. Know what it is. It's all the good things of cannabis. I'm not
100%.
not complaining.
Yeah.
Shout
Yes,
out
indeed.
shout out to the people who are doing great work respecting the plant and doing it in the right way and making money off of it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
anything to cultivate this thing and anything. I mean, no matter what, if yeah, cannabis and you're doing it for cannabis, rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And even if you're doing it to make the money from it too, then that's perfectly fine. But just mind the plant. Show
yeah,
it the respect that it might and genuinely does deserve.
it does. It does. Yeah, I was at the Batavia Farmers Market this weekend
Nice.
and I stopped by there is a little booth called Crybaby Crier CBD. I think we've talked about it before, but I get like my dog treats there. And right across the way, they had kombucha,
Okay.
and they also had infused kombucha with CBD. They were partnered with a CBD company, and
Okay.
there was like a coffee company right next door, and they did infused like CBD coffee. They were partnered with this place.
That's super cool.
Like that's the kind of like cool things like where you're respecting the plant the right way, and you're doing your thing, and you're doing it for the right reason. You know what I mean? You're helping people. You're
100%.
yeah, yeah. So like shout out to those people
I knew
in the
a
community.
scientist in I think he worked for Tyson or one of the bigger food manufacturers or whatever.
Hmm.
But he was talking about how they have been playing with CBD inside of different things to try and give the most benefit that it can in the capacity that some things actually are you know vitamins are added to them or whatever or that
Yeah,
or we add vitamin compounds. It's the same thing. He said, like, in the near future I see it where CBD is used in way more of our food supply. It's going to be used in way more of our like daily consumables because it actually does benefit and regulate some of the property or some of the naturally occurring systems of our body. So
I have a question. Do you think we're gonna get to a point where CBD and THC are so far removed from each other in people's minds? Do you think it's gonna be like destigmatized enough that like
hmm, that's actually I I like the thought. Uh, Depends on who. Yeah, depends on who. See, that's the thing that I think more than anything, it's how we communicate this thing, right?
right?
Because like how do you separate it? We need to break things down to its almost molecular level, or to just its basic compounds, and to say these things are separated because of what they are,
Right.
and they can be found in the same instances and in the same places, but communicating around some of the things that we use as medicines or drugs or whatever it is, and those two words even are interjectable, or interchangeable.
Yeah.
If you look at literally their definitions, right? Drugs get used as medicine, and medicine is the use of drugs, and
Correct.
it's so to be able to communicate that, it's what emotional attachment you take to some of these things, I think. And um for people who can just look at the surface value of what it is, like what is THC capable of and what is CBD capable of, you have to be very they're not the
Intentional.
same.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
be very intentional.
they're not the same. Just because they occur in the same places, like on the same plant, doesn't mean that they need to be consumed at the same times, at the same rates, at the rate that the plant is producing them. There's so many variables that could actually come into like most benefiting yourself that isn't, you know, there's just too much to, like you said, the stigma of it. I think too many people associate the plant and, it's the devil's lettuce and the
Marijuana.
entourage
Yeah.
effect, marijuana, weeds bad. We spray killers on this shit.
Right.
Weeds, we pull those.
Right.
Weeds, we should not be ingesting that. So for anybody who just trivially accepts common tongue, I mean, like, stoned, that's what you did when you did something bad in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
too many words that are used to associate with the consumption of cannabis with other bad words that trigger responses in too many people's brains, and it's not a safe space to communicate, because like you're saying, there's a stigma to it where we can't even, can you separate the stigma
Right.
from the factual reality, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
what I was talking about earlier today in
Which is
my
also
thing.
good. Yeah.
It's
Peace, Love, and Cope on YouTube.
thank you.
You're welcome.
My mind is made up. Don't confuse me with facts. The facts of it is they are far enough separated. They are completely
Yeah,
different
they're
things
completely different things.
scientifically, and if we could separate them by themselves individually, they would already be that. But because, like you said, the stigma of what a cannabis plant is, and the weed and the getting high and the stoned and the
That's not to say that like the effects of THC and like, altering your brain where it's like, I don't really, like I don't care as much about, whatever it is I cared about 20 seconds ago. There's something to be said for that too, right?
that's one of the actual best parts about it.
Yeah.
If we can
Res-
reduce fear response or trigger response in an immediate way, like that's what breakthrough medication does. That's what all of these things do. When people go from no pain to, oh my god, immense 10 out of 11 out of 10 pain, they use breakthrough medication. They use things that will hit them faster, typically.
right.
Fast acting, whatever. So
Tinactin,
it what's that?
fast acting
Yeah,
tinactin.
but that's it. Pow. But no, it's a beautifully effective method for quick delivery, and
Yeah.
to actually, if you're in a fear place, or like a lot of us say, we just use it because I'm anxious sometimes, or it kind of helps me kind of calm down, whatever. That 100% is an okay thing. Like, it's stopping you from whatever response that is to sit and be anxious. But at the same time, I it's I talked about, I think, and I might have said it maybe even on here. Like, I'm thinking about taking a little
Yeah.
break
Actually, that does remind me. We should talk about that. I think. I think you should, and I
for
think we should.
science.
I think we should talk about it on the podcast every week.
Yeah,
You were talking about going 30 days, right?
I think seven's a pretty easy starting point.
Yeah.
And to be able to commit to that, to see. where I stand cognitively afterwards, because I typically use cannabis more in a um for the mental state, right?
Right.
Like it is something that I use when I'm stressed out at times and I'm overreacting to things,
Hmm.
to kind of escape from and to collect my thoughts in, which I
Yeah,
don't
same.
think is a bad
No,
thing.
I do.
That's a
I think I do the same thing. I think I would be a liar if I said I don't. I've never done that, or I don't do that, or
and
something like that. You
that
know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
that's literally what I'm saying. Like that might be one of the most things that it's beautiful for.
Right.
But I think if we only do it for that and we constantly rely on something as our because we're responding adversely to something, we jump into something to take our mind off of or whatever, are we actually dealing cognitively with the situation and are we overcoming what it is
But
we're trying
there's
to?
also something magical about it, where you can sit in a group of people you don't know, and you can all share that same ritual, and the plant just does this magical thing where you start to become friends with these people. You know
100%.
what I mean? Like,
Uh, uh,
that's the magical thing
uh,
where
uh,
it's just like everybody's just like,
I'm not even, I will never bash cannabis culture
yeah,
at all. I think it's one of the most beautiful places that you can find just a group of like-minded and common people. A
there's
lot of people who consume cannabis, we're broken toys, man.
yeah,
We've gone through something, right?
yeah.
To have to lean into something every day, to go to something every day because of all the anxieties and
Mhm.
because of all the depression or whatever it is that we're going through, there's typically something broken to begin with. So, it's working through that and actually then, being aware that this thing can help us grow through it and using it to grow through something instead of using it as a crutch to and then maybe enabling those worse thoughts to
That's more
persist.
more better.
More batter,
More better,
worser,
worser. Yeah.
worsester.
Mids.
The worsester,
Mids.
yeah, the worcester sauce,
Mhm.
um, mids.
No, but you don't need it. And, there's been a lot of times in my life where I haven't smoked marijuana. There's been like multiple
Correct.
years where I haven't smoked marijuana. I was just like, just whatever. And then, once vape carts started coming back, it was like, oh yeah, this is nice. Like, late 2012, 13, 14.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, this is
And I'm not
this is easy now.
well, and that's the thing. If we made it convenient for everybody and I just don't want to oversaturate myself. And we all have to understand too, no matter what. If you do too much, there's too much of anything.
Oh yeah.
So, hyperemesis is a real possibility with cannabis. And then the amount of people who talk about anxiety attacks or paranoia episodes or whatever because of the overuse of
Well,
something can be
let's call that what that is.
well,
So when you're actually alone with your thoughts and you're forced to face reality, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
It can suck, but
Eh,
you actually have to do that
But
too.
it can
You can't hide
cause these
forever.
responses too because of increase in blood pressure, increase in heart rate,
Yeah.
that actual cognitive um fogging and that l- inability to be fully in control. I think because of what intoxication is, it leans towards people going, "Oh, I'm kind of scared of that a little bit because I don't know what's coming next." Where I used to beg a lot of my people who would come in and for the beginning, they'd be like, "I don't wanna get high, I don't wanna get high." I would talk them through the same way I'm talking right now about, let's change the verbiage of what you're saying. There is an intoxication that comes with it, but if you think being high is the same thing, cannabis, crack cocaine,
Yeah,
methamphetamines,
that's
heroin, whatever, you can get high on all of them, then you're just associating this thing as an intoxicant that you're scared of intoxication, which
there's
is perfectly fine.
there's using the plant for medical purposes. There's using the plant for recreational purposes, and then there's addiction. And addiction is very sad, and addiction is compulsion. It's like a brain compulsion
Yep.
where you've trained your brain that you think a certain way and you have to do a certain thing. And it's very, very hard to change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like addiction is when it affects your life, when it affects your job. Like
Yeah.
that's when you start talking about addiction. And you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Shout
it's
out to those people doing their own work and like, you know what I mean? Like facing whatever you're facing.
oh, a
We're
hundred
all
per-
facing that. You know what I mean? We're all facing what
100%.
we got to.
And that's why I've always leaned into cannabis too, because it is more than nothing else. It's one of the safest places that exists. And I mean that to even where I used to beg, like I was saying, the first people who were scared or intimidated to get high or whatever, I would say, go home, remember me, right?
Right.
You've sat across from me 10 times now.
Mhm.
I don't want to fucking hurt you.
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting here begging you to feel better, and you're intimidated to do so. Go home, get high. Get this thing, feel the thing that you're so intimidated by, and then sit back and do a scientific journal really quick and go, okay, what is it that I feel? Because what did I want to feel to begin with? Because if you want reduction of pain or whatever it is, anxiety or depression or whatever, it's what am I looking for, first of all, and then what am I getting as a response? But the amount of people who come in and go, I'm not feeling all the pain relief. I'm getting more anxious sometimes. I'm whatever. Like, well, how are you using and what are you using? Because it makes a difference. And a lot of times, if you're intimidated by high or intoxication or whatever, then you would probably not um accept the whatever comes when it comes, right? So once cannabis takes effect, you shut down your thought process to it, and it's just it's like it doesn't help you to get a good effect if your brain's already telling you no, no, no. So think about this thing in the proper light and then go back, get fucked up about it, enjoy the actual intoxication because it is enjoyable. Go when your brain says, "Let me eat food," go eat food. But like if you pre-plan this because you know that there's this thing called munchies and you put fruits and vegetables around for you to go eat, you're probably in better shape
Yeah.
than if you put M&Ms and Oreos.
Be intentional about it.
And I'm not saying it's not good to put M&Ms and Oreos, but M&Ms and Oreos probably don't make your stomach feel that good. We don't feel it anymore because we've allowed it to happen so much, but they probably don't make your stomach feel so good. It makes our brains feel good because of the quick sugar release or whatever, but do things that are going to make your body feel good in conjunction with this plant that genuinely has comfortable effect.
Yeah.
And then, put on your favorite television show if it's that you don't want to go anywhere. Put on your favorite music. Put on your favorite comedian. Call your favorite people that you want to hang out with. That's number one. I would probably put
Defoliate.
that before anybody.
Defoliate your
But
plants.
Go hang out
Smoke a
with
joint
plants.
with your plants.
Do-
Smoke a joint with your plants.
Do the things that you love to do,
Yeah.
but do it with cannabis
Yeah.
because you've been intimidated for so long, and once people finally committed and said, you know what, I finally got high. I finally got the effect from this thing,
Yeah.
and I actually don't mind it.
Then you can take the 2 milligram gummy and go out and like walk around and
Well,
do stuff and not be completely zonked.
But that's
I mean, that's fun too, but I'm saying that like once you get over it, you can
Well,
actually use it for like,
well,
I feel good walking around because like my joints aren't inflamed.
because I'm not intimidated to actually go out with this thing.
Right.
Because you've had such a bad perception. I got to
Right.
stay at home and you
Yeah.
should. That's the learning progress here. That's how everybody should progress through this thing. But like eventually you get to this very comfortable point of control and it's like actually I really like this thing. It does make me feel calm. It does help me not respond to whatever triggers there are in this world so quickly. And I'm able to sit back for a minute and actually enjoy some of the things without feeling so bad about enjoying it. It's okay that everybody, I talk about this a lot lately, but like, who cares about these big events? It's fine. Go do your big events, but like, we have to be comfortable with our everyday life as well. And some of us don't have the capacity to go do the big event stuff, whether it's monetary or physically or whatever. So then we feel like we're missing out on something. You're missing out on nothing. It's okay to be content in
Are
your
you talking about
space.
Lollapalooza?
Oh, dude, who is there? Maybe Kendrick Lamar
I don't
and
know. I
Miley
literally
Cyrus.
have no
I
idea.
really have no clue.
No.
Saying things.
Yeah, no, I have no
Lana
idea.
Del Rey. Um,
You're probably wrong, and people probably would think that you're old. They'd be
I'm
like,
sorry.
no, that's not even who headlines. Remember when it was like really Lollapalooza?
I was also scared of big events back then too. I do, but you know, yeah, I'm not against it. I would rather be able to talk to my peers and listen to my friends and stuff than
So do you
big
think you're
events
gonna?
overstimulate me.
Well, you just don't like big events. That's okay. So do you think you're gonna stop smoking? When do you think you're gonna do that? I think it'd be interesting to
Soon,
talk about on the podcast.
soon.
Are you gonna do it the weekend of the Little Bean event, 8/26?
Um,
You should probably not do it that weekend.
I don't
If we
know.
pre-planned, probably let's not do it that weekend.
Okay.
I mean, because I think that's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm not sure. There will be a day when I wake up here in the near future because I keep telling myself, and I will just go, well,
Well,
today
you
is
should
the
just do
day.
it, dude. Just do it
Oh,
for a week.
that's the only
Is-
way. And I'm not like I'm not doing it for any reason.
You're just going to do it when you decide you want to do it. No,
Yeah,
I
I
understand
think
how you are.
one of these days it's just gonna be that okay, turn it on. And I don't think that I'm harming myself by using cannabis at this point. So I'm not like stopping the
No,
use because I think it's harmful to me by any means. I
it's
think
more about like stopping and
science.
taking stock. Like, sometimes you have to stop and you have to take stock and go, all right, where am I?
Am I,
You know what I mean?
the thing
And
that
that's good and that's okay.
the thing that might intimidate and scare me more than anything is sleeping. I think because
I don't have a problem sleeping
no,
anymore.
I sleep fine. I got no problem. I don't like dreaming, bro. I used to have all them silly dreams where you're falling down. Yeah. Those startling dreams are not like comfortable sleep to me. I wake up super anxious and stuff, and like I use cannabis to stop that
As long as I can remember, I can't remember dreams.
because of cannabis.
No, I mean like as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
as a child.
Jesus, yeah,
Like I don't
yeah.
like maybe once, twice. Like since I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just cannabis. I mean, I smoked, it's when I do smoke, when I don't smoke, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
So shout out to those people who have dreams.
Yeah, yeah. There's too many people who have invasive ones, though.
Yeah,
and
that's unfortunate.
This is what I promise you.
I mean, I have family that has that, like they have bad dreams.
Your sleep cycle is one of the most important regenerative things that we do with our body, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, that's why you need like 7 hours of, 7 hours of sleep minimum.
yeah, I think
And that's what like refreshes the paths in your brain with, you know what I mean, that prevents like Alzheimer's stuff like that.
yeah.
Otherwise, you get like a bunch of like salt buildup or something
I think that I saw a transitional chart
that like
that actually makes like more sense to when we're doing things and not. And I think you like go through these like it's like a wave. You
circadian rhythm.
y- well, no, I think when you're a child, you only need
Oh
so
yeah,
many hours of sleep, or you need
yeah,
excessive amounts, and then when you become a teen, it's when you
yeah.
kind of spikes and peaks
Mhm.
the sleep level that you would need, and then it kind of drops down from there. I think the older we get,
The
I
less
think
you
we
need.
need a little bit less sleep, whatever,
Yeah.
but to stay at the same level of regeneration. But I know some people that are sleeping for 2 hours in 2 hour chunks that are they're constantly in this state of I don't know how to explain it, on the edge of discomfort, right?
Yeah.
You've never regenerated. You've never actually kind of loosened up and let the things go away. You know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. But so cannabis is great for that. Cannabis is great for all kinds
It is.
of
Speaking of,
you want to talk the news
yeah,
now?
let's talk
I've been
some
rambling
news.
a lot. Sorry if I
No, no,
did.
no, no, no. It's cool.
It's one of the things.
We
Yeah.
we have to have both. Like really, like the whole idea in the beginning was like the news is just a vessel. It's
Yeah.
just a vessel to build around, and that's why on the podcast and the YouTube stuff, I put the support dope people interviews. And that's
Yeah.
just like a couple minutes of content. Hopefully, you get some videos here we can put
Look,
on too. That'd
look
be cool.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
good.
Um.
Everything's cool, man.
Yeah.
Smoke some more pot.
Spread the good news. Illinois
Yep.
sets the 2023 marijuana sales record with $140 million in recreational purchases in July.
So is that because
Um,
they raise their prices so much and they're so
I think we've
Probably.
actually seen some decrease in price in some sectors, right?
Yeah.
They've made some things more accessible and more cost effective for people.
Yeah.
So I think what's actually happening is that there are more dispensaries coming online. And I think that because people already knew all of the dispensaries that exist,
Right.
um, people are already going there or have already
People-
established that that is their place that they will go to.
Yeah, but people are starting to get wise of Illinois. Like recreation's only been around since 2020, right?
Correct.
People are starting to get wise. They're like, oh, I see how this game is. This is all the same stuff all the time. We've got 3 years now of going, oh, it's the same BS in the rec market.
100%. Yeah.
That's
and
part of it.
yeah, I just think that with new places coming on board, some people who have probably been shied away or already have a bad taste in their mouth for other dispensaries that they've probably had to travel quite a distance to get to begin with
Yeah.
are now seeing a dispensary pop up in the parking lot of the Walmart by their house. They're seeing a dispensary pop up in front of the major shopping malls and
Mhm.
they're like, "What is that? Wait, that's cannabis? I'm going to
Yep.
try something out." And I guesstimate that there will be this while these new places come on board, there will be this quick grab and this quick stab and people will jump in and check them out and whatever. But I think that because people will continue to see the inflated prices that exist, and because people will continue to probably be sold false information by just buying
Idiots.
packaging and whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? They're not purchasing anything product wise, they're just purchasing pretty packages. So they get duped a few times, and then it's like, dude, this industry kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to be part of something that's trying to take advantage of me and take my money at the same time.
Right.
Like, isn't cannabis just always good? Isn't it always supposed to be a decent product, especially at a dispensary?
You would
The
think
answer is no.
that as regulated as it is, it would at least be, decent weed. I think it's 2023. Like we should be at a point now where we can produce decent weed and not turf sprayed gas, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't need please do not spray terps. I don't need no terp gas.
no,
That's ridiculous.
no. I personally at this point just wish that,
Taste over everything.
hey, if that,
100%.
yeah.
Taste over everything.
I mean, to me, it's molecular availability personally, because I think in some instances some would excel from one thing over the other, but even then,
Are we
for
the
what
problem, Dave? Are we the problem for expecting too much out of modern cannabis?
no,
No, it's
because it's
them that's the problem.
measurable.
Okay.
No, it's a measurable thing now. Yeah, and I can say that super fast and confidently.
No, I
It's
know.
it's literally and I would be the first one to jump on board and back somebody through this, whatever. But um, everything is measurable now, and we already know it's fucking known. I'm not like trying to be crazy or conspiracist or anything. The numbers on the sides of these fucking packages are fake. They're
Yep.
not real. It can't be batch consistent. We already know that. Is it close-ish? Does it give some idea too? Yes, maybe. But
They didn't. You can't test every bud.
no,
You know what
and
I mean? So
even then
like,
you can't test every plant. And from they're testing one bud off of one plant out of a fucking room of 60 fucking plants. And maybe
right,
they're testing 10 buds from,
random.
60 fucking plants. It doesn't really matter. The idea is that what are you going to do? Are you going to take the lowest number that came off of those buds? Are you going to take the scraggliest looking parts of the plant into your lab testing? Or are you going to take in your most beautiful parts? Are you going to take in the top colas and the things that you want them to lab test because people purchase based off of faked numbers to begin with? So it's not to represent the product in what it can be, because when you go in, and even then, is it the lab's fault or the cultivator's fault? It doesn't matter. It's everybody's fault. And it might be on the consumer too for not accepting the fact that it is just some made up bullshit.
Right.
It's probably on a spectrum in within the, let's say they did have 60 plants in a room and they measure, let's even say they took one bud off of all of them, right? And you put it into, what do? Mix them all up, or do you test 60 individual fucking
Yeah.
plants?
No way.
And then what do? Take the consistency, the average of them, or do you take the lowest one of all of them, or do you take the highest one of all of them? Do you take the one that stands out and you're like, holy fuck, does that thing say 35 fucking percent on it? Is that even possible? Well, sure. You got some part of the plant that like was just juiced beyond its mind, and it got other parts of the plant to rain its
Well,
fluffy,
yeah.
flaky goodness
Well,
all
that's
over it,
yeah.
And it's like,
That's part
so,
of caring for the plant. Like you have to train it to do that.
oh, and I'm fully on board. I think that the reasons we purchase cannabis for through a dispensary and the ways that dispensaries represent cannabis isn't it doesn't help the communication part of
Well,
cannabis.
that's. I mean, I say it all the time. R.I.P. to medical. Like I miss that. You were talking about that on your stream earlier today.
Kills me.
Like actually getting to talk to people and cultivate a sort of relationship with your clients and your customers. And so it's not that anymore. But you know what is that? The gray market.
Well,
There's still
and
people out there cultivating.
but I've seen some very cool things
Yeah,
behind the scenes, and I've seen some very cool things in the scenes at times.
yeah.
But it takes one person pretty much sacrificing themselves legitimately. And
Hmm.
I mean, like, they don't get another chance anymore. They get kicked out of the companies for doing things that it's just doing it right. It's just, cannabis can be done properly. And
Well, Illinois, we know Illinois is not doing it right because what does it say here? It says that what Minnesota just went legal the other day. So Wisconsin is like the sea of prohibition. So
well,
there's likely a lot of people coming down from Wisconsin that
this
you know
kind
what I
of,
mean?
well, in this article that we're reading here, um, the the IDFPR,
Yeah.
said that there were 3.5 million, 3,580,946 adult use cannabis products that were purchased last month at a total of $140 million, 48,722. Okay. Check this out. The bulk of the sales came from in-state residents. Bulk of 140 is 104
Million.
million. All right. With out of state visitors accounting for $35,792,000 in recreational marijuana purchases. Medical cannabis sales are reportedly set
Reported separately by a different Illinois state agency. So this is for recreational only. This has nothing to do with medical.
correct. And right directly below it, according to a recent fiscal analysis, a good chunk of those visitors' cannabis dollars likely came from Wisconsin,
Yep.
which officially became an island of prohibition in the region this week after Minnesota's legalization law went into effect. They
Right.
literally are by themselves,
Yep.
surrounded by every border.
Well, there's news about that today. I think some Republican lawmaker in Wisconsin was like, "I'm going to file a bill," which they should, and it probably won't pass. But I mean, more power to them. We don't need to get into it. That's Wisconsin. But like, the more states that open and are better than us, the better for us.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. But yeah, that was really the big thing of this is that, there's this other article after long delays, new cannabis businesses are opening in Illinois. 5 years after starting the process, there's this company, Dan Pettigrew, finally has opened his first cannabis store in Illinois. Pettigrew is the co-founder of Viola Shy from the NBA star Al Harrington.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Following years of operation by Viola brands in Colorado, Michigan, and other states. So the point to this was that even being a NBA star, even having bigger financial backing and fiscal backing, it took these people 5 years to get into the market. They finally got here, and now it's like it's almost a game of like try to catch up a little bit, and you're
It's
playing
yeah,
against
Ivy Hall over there, same thing, right? All
your
these little small things.
well, I feel bad because I don't know how many of them actually can fully exist amongst the monopolies that exist out there, right? Like these other big players are all already sleeping in bed together, and they kind of got an
I
edge
mean,
on the
they're
market. So
yeah.
I think just come in and represent cannabis in the best way you
Don't-
can, and
Basically,
like,
don't fuck it up.
yeah, don't
Be
fuck it
cool.
up.
Be cool and don't fuck it up. You know
Don't
who I'm talking to.
fuck it up.
Yeah, so we talked about this early this winter on one of your streams, and that they were having a hard time. They didn't know if they were going to be able to open. They were being made to jump through all these hoops and stuff. So like crazy.
And I, you know,
And the other
ex-
things, these are all these like special equity uh
a lot of them, yeah.
licenses
Yep.
and stuff like that, which is, it is what it is. I'm not uh, whatever. It's already done. I've
Yeah.
said before, and I'll keep saying it. The more we can get it done and over with, the maybe we can do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fully on board with that.
Yeah,
Um,
but
especially when, and I'm going to transition this through to this other thing because this just came out today too.
yeah, I
A
like this
study
one.
shows that marijuana is significantly associated with the reduced use of unregulated opioids.
Yep. This is not. This is for people using it without a prescription. This is for,
Correct.
the people who are that we talked about earlier. Using is one thing, addiction is another thing.
Correct.
And shout out to the people who are doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? You're not alone. You're a person.
I
Like, do your thing. You know what I mean? But there's something better you can use.
well, and
There's something
that's
much better you can use.
that's been my biggest point. Okay, there is no comparison in some of the overall intoxication levels or the overall disassociation of um neurological transmission
I
that
mean,
goes on between some of these compounds. So it's hard to say one is equal to the other, or you can get the same level of relief from one as the other. It doesn't necessarily exist, but
it's
there are
different.
some fucking safer
Yeah.
alternatives that give you
I
full capacity to be in control.
I think most people I know and most people in my life that I've been around who had maybe a recreational opioid use habit, addiction, etc. I've had, run the gamut of, all of them. A lot of my experience has been like, they're already using cannabis. You know what I mean?
I have not had that.
Oh, I have.
I've seen the transition through
I mean, I've known.
alcohol into opiates quite regularly, especially when we hang out with more cannabis consumers, so we might see that correlation. But in my life
Yeah.
directly, I have seen, and in the cannabis world directly, I have seen way more people who booze it up and take the opiates and shit,
Oh yeah.
and
No,
then
I've lived a different life than you. No, I've known people who've like banged stuff into their veins. I've known people who've like taken lots of pills like every day. You know what
I've
I mean? It's
I
crazy.
have direct
Yeah,
family.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have overdose victims
Oh
in my
yeah.
family. I have
I'm just saying in
um
my experience, like in my life, like most of those people are already smoking pot. You know what I mean? I had a couple of friends who died from heroin.
correct,
You know what I mean?
correct, and I've seen it too, and I unfortunately, and I even though they may have used it as a regulatory substance in some degree,
Yeah.
I
You
didn't
can do something
see.
better. You can do something better. You can do something better. You can get help. You can do it.
Oh,
Take the step to do it. Don't worry about the big thing. Take the first step. You just have
it's a
to take the first step.
it's a commitment to yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
literally
You
it.
have to. You have to
It's not
decide.
quitting anything, it's committing to you.
Yes.
You don't have to quit anything.
Don't let.
Everything we've changed our human who we are how many times?
Yeah. Don't let it rule you.
You have become a different person a bunch of different times already. So to become the next different person and one that is cognitively aware, especially because everybody who I don't want to say everybody, but a good majority of the people that I know who have used things, they know that they're doing something harmful towards themselves.
And you can always start over. You can start again. It's okay to fail. You can start again. Do it.
It's yeah, vulnerability is
Yeah.
not the end of the world, and not only that, like vulnerability might be the start of your world at some points. And to um yeah, I feel like you just want to be there for anybody, right? Like
Yeah.
I just want
Right.
to be there if anybody ever both Aaron and I, and please use this platform as it too. If you have any questions ever, you ever need somebody to chat with you, we support people.
Yeah. Support dope people.
And yeah, I mean, anybody, right? Like we all go through a lot of wild shit. Um, but there are avenues in which you can, um, I will never give medical advice without you seeking and talking to a medical professional, but I can at some points give you, um,
We can
cannabis
communicate.
knowledge, and I can tell you about how you can find some comfort in a thing that is not the same, but by Christ, is it going to give you some comfort? And you know, that's the other thing that I'm telling you. I have not seen a lot of cannabis use with opiate because once I've seen people get into the use of cannabis, generally, the few people that I have had directly around me who have used cannabis to transition through opiate use have had a rather successful road for the most
That's
part.
a completely different thing. I'm talking about people who, they're into lots of different things, and you know what I
Oh,
mean.
I'm
I'm not poo pooing the fact that Illinois is great because if you get prescribed an opioid, you can actually go get a temporary medical marijuana license, and that's
yeah,
actually one of the few good things about the Illinois market. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like
100%.
even Illinois knows that like this is something that is important and
A 110% of the time. Yeah,
I'm just saying,
there's
don't
an
take it from us.
alternative.
You should listen to the state.
The state itself is saying
The state itself is
this,
saying.
but that's that's the whole point that I'm making here. We know.
Right. That
It's
that's
hiding.
my point too.
You're hiding from yourself a
Yeah,
lot of times when we talk about
100%.
this thing, and I'm not afraid to look at the psychology and speak on the psychology behind what addiction is. I've been around addiction a fucking ton of
Yeah.
times. And for people to hide behind it sometimes because that's what it fucking becomes is more that I have this problem. The problem is committing to your fucking self. The problem is actually taking the steps to get to the next point. It's respecting the words that your brain is actually is playing through itself, that I probably shouldn't do some of these things. We all need an escape. We all need to get away from some of the crazy shit. A lot of us have been broken toys and we've gone through a bunch of shit in our lives. I'm not discrediting anybody's personal experiences. I do have a problem with a lot of people who don't take the cognitive awareness part in this seriously. When I literally hear my friends around me go, "Oh, I should quit smoking because it's not good for me." Cigarettes is what I'm speaking about at this point. They don't want you to smoke cigarettes, but then they continue to do it because it's a level of escape, and I get that. I'm not taking it away from anybody. But when it is harming you and when it is becoming a problem, you it, you now, especially a lot of times, and when we talk about addiction too, the psychology behind it is that they have, again, their mind is made up. What the fuck do you care about facts?
Well,
d-
yeah, that's
we don't need,
unfortunate. That's it's a lazy way of, I don't want to have to think through. I don't want to have to challenge myself, but that's how
there is
you combat bad information with good information or with better.
100%. There's
You know what I
a
mean?
true reality to what the brain's
I
chemical
I want
function is.
I want to believe that somebody else has thought and thought of my best interest and decided for me, so I don't have to think.
Co-
That's like
That's
you might as well
modern
say,
medicine. That's Western
well,
medicine.
that's politics.
Well,
S-
but that's
That's
the
life.
whole point. But that's
But
exactly
it's
it.
like, do you really want to just trust in like? Well, I mean, some people can't think that large. You know what I mean? They don't want to think outside their little thing. They go, I don't. That's a lot of thinking, and I can't, and I need to focus on.
But then and I respect that. But two,
I'm just saying you
those are
have to.
probably the same people who have addiction problems and things where we fall into chemical traps in our brain that we
Well,
have to stay looped into.
I think that's some people in general, and you just have to accept that there are people like that out there.
I'm fully
know
on
what I
board.
mean?
That's okay.
Yeah.
But when we talk, there are people out there that are like that. You and I both have just said we've lost people to this same fucking problem. And when we're talking about probably you see this is from fucking the British Columbia Center of Substance Use
Yep.
and UCLA.
Yep.
So it's not like chumps in the game of research or science. These are people
It's
who
not some think
understand,
tank that is,
right?
funded by whatever.
The actual statistical difference between the opiate issue and the overdose problem that has gone on with opiates in our society when introduced cannabis use have gone down significantly, and people have found relief from whatever it
Yep.
is. And I'm not saying that opiates aren't effective in certain instances for certain things, because they're probably far more effective. Like if you were going through major surgery, they're probably far more effective than smoking a joint would be,
Right.
as far as stopping that pain situation. But
Right.
at the end of the day,
The
we're
warm
talking about
feeling.
addiction here,
Right.
right? And we're talking about this inability to either electrically break the pathway or chemically break the pathway that sends a signal that says it's okay for me to do this thing.
So it looks like what they studied here, and this was published in the International Journal of Drug Policy, found that 58% of participants reported that their motivation to use marijuana was to reduce opioid cravings. So that's what they asked people, what is your intention? And 58% of them said, I'm going to use pot because I don't want to crave the opioids. And so that's good. That's good information. And then a multivariable analysis showed that cannabis use was significantly associated with self-reported reductions in opioid use. That's
again the cognitive
Yeah.
portion of this that I'm telling you people know. 58% said, I'm going to use this to reduce this thing because I think there's an alternative to the thing that is harming me.
And
That's what I read
and
into
that's
that.
58% of people who actually answer to study, because ain't nobody got time to listen to no study.
Well, and so
You know what
this
I
is
mean?
of the study group, which I think is 205 people who use cannabis and opioids without a prescription from December 2019 to November 2021. All right, so the sample size is smaller, but of that, the people who were going to use cannabis at all said, "I'm going to use this as as a interchangeable substance to the thing that I feel like is harming me.
Yep.
I want to reduce this thing." And these are the people who actually use it.
Yep.
So, like, for us who don't use it, who, if you've never touched an opiate before, the people who are touching it are literally saying, "I want to stop doing it."
If you know somebody who has an opioid problem, just, reach out to them if you guys are buds or sisters or whatever, and smoke some pot and be like, "Hey man, you're a person and like you can do whatever." Like, but like somebody cares about you and you can do it. Like support your people is all I'm saying.
And the
Let
the
them know
thing
they're
is,
not
it's
alone.
it's better to tell the people around you right now that you are thinking about them
Yeah.
now than it is to tell them later on that it sucks that you have to think about them and they're not around anymore. All right? It sucks. It sucks that when you put it into a perspective of reality that some people are harmed and to a point of, you know, the worst possible scenario.
Yeah, tell
And
tell your people you love them.
just let people know. It's honestly, I think more than anything, my whole life, I've always wanted to just be, when earlier in my life, do you remember Paris Hilton had a show on and she was like trying to get a best friend or something like that?
I remember Paris Hilton had some videos online.
Tee
Getting out of the
100%
car or whatever. Yeah.
synced it.
I saw those.
Synced it.
With Kim Kardashian in her comeback.
She Oh my god, that's fucking awesome.
Anyway,
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, I don't know. She used to have a show where she was looking for a best friend or something. And when I was younger, I was like, bro, I would love to get paid to be somebody's best friend. How crazy would that be? I don't need to get paid to be a friend. But when I
Right.
was younger, the thought process of like, you can just support somebody, you can just be there for somebody, you can just go up to somebody that you love and be there for them, and they go, "You know what? You're close enough to me. I want to fiscally and financially support you to the point where you get to live and experience this rock without the hindrance of selling your time off." And I was like, "Whoa, coolest thing in the fucking whole
Yeah.
world." And like, but it was more the idea that I don't want you to have to deal with going through all the bullshit. I want to support you in any way that I can. I want to make you feel better. And
I mean, that's your job in life. I was talking to Senior about this yesterday when he showed up to tags
yes.
early waiting for you.
Yes.
And we were just talking about, like as you do with Senior, who's like, again, we've always said we stand on the shoulders of men greater than us.
Yeah.
That come before us, and Senior is definitely one of those in our community, in the
100%.
disc golf community. He's a Hall of Fame legend, in his own right.
100%.
And we were just talking about like, you just got to be in the moment. You got to find the happiness. You just, I feel good when I make other people happy. So like, support your fellow person. You know what I mean? Whoever that is.
That's been my big thing lately. I just, there's no way that through our average day-to-day human interaction that we are all this angry, we're all this competitive, we're all this shit talky and whatever. Yes, there's been this point where like having fun and joking and whatever is one thing, but we've gone so far with it now that we've disconnected. There's a lot of people out here who just want to be fucking loved, bro, who just want to be
Yeah.
part of something. And if you're a cannabis consumer, the cannabis culture is a beautiful place for you
Yeah.
to just be a part of something. It's a beautiful place for you to find.
Dude, we found a lot of friends
Oh my-
in the cannabis culture,
some of the
Marky and David and, you know, Charlie and Scott and all those guys have been like super cool to me, super cool to you.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like
Oh, mine goes, but and the
smoke a
thing
bowl with
is,
somebody.
I go back to see, like, that's the other thing too,
Bob,
is
I
that
can't
the
not say
medical
Bob.
patients, consumers
Yeah.
of the plant who had never consumed before, but all of a sudden they go, fuck, this is the greatest thing, and you're the greatest person for doing so. I don't feel like the greatest person. It makes you feel very good internally for a moment or whatever, but it's like, this plant is the most badass thing, and to see it just work for
Yeah.
so many, and
And
to
once
keep
you use the plant, you're part of everybody. You're part of the community. So like just come be part of the community. You're already here.
yeah,
We're all doing the same thing.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, 100%, 100%. Keep on smiling, man.
Yeah, like enjoy the moment and
If you are not smiling right now, if you are struggling and stressed out by things in your life, I I beg you to consider the idea of sitting down and smoking a pipe, possibly even looking in the mirror and telling the person in there that they are worth fighting for, and that you got their back. That from now on, you're going to stop harming the person inside the mirror as much, and you're going to start taking care of them a little bit better. Because if you start taking care of that person the same way that we outwardly want to take care of all the rest of these people in our
Mhm.
lives, it becomes substantially easier to actually outwardly take care of some of these people, and it becomes easier to help those in need when their needs come up. And like Aaron and I, we just want to support, so if we can support you in any way possible, if there's anything that you would like to um, chat about in your life, or that cannabis is helping people overcome with, or shit, even any drugs that are,
yeah, I'd at least like some pictures of the e-drugs. Although, you know, shout out to all the people on the Instagram community posting cool pictures of their, you know, flower and stuff like that.
it is really
Gardening
cool.
stuff. It is really super cool.
And please do it with us as well.
Yeah. Shout out to people who have been like reblogging us on Instagram and stuff, Facebook. You know what I mean? It's
We
been really cool to see the support.
greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess today's podcast can be summed up as first take care of head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And smoke weed every day.
Smoke weed every day.
Peace. Love you.
Later, y'all.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go.